and welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do some Easter DIYs this week. Now I know Easter is probably going to be not what everyone expected this year, but I thought I'd still pop out a few little Easter things just because they're kind of cheery. And one of my Easter DIYs is actually, well, it's an adult treat, but I suppose it could be a child-friendly treat too, but you'll see. I'm going to get straight into the DIYs. Here is the first one. So I have a little hack. If I don't have ink in my printer, so I have been tracing them off the screen. So here's a larger bunny. So I'm going to literally just trace it and then move down. So I'm tracing it off the screen, which I thought was quite genius. So I just have some like white paper and pencil. Like, it might not be perfect, but you can just tidy it up. Actually, you could probably tape your paper to the screen. So there is a bunny. I also traced out a smaller one for my tea towels. And if you literally go to Pinterest, there is loads of bunny little templates that you can literally just trace off. So I thought those two were cute. Once you have your bunny templates all traced out, the first project is going to be a simple napkin. Now, this is so easy and it's a great way to practice doing hems. For the napkin size, I'm doing 13 inches by 13 inches. You can make a paper template for this. I'm actually just tracing it out with a ruler and a fabric pen onto the fabric and cutting it directly off. Once my fabric is all cut, I'm going to take it to the ironing board and I'm simply going to fold over, iron, fold it over again, iron it into place, and I'm just popping a few pins, and that is how you do a simple hem. And I'm doing it on all four sides of this, and then I'm going to take it to the machine. I have a little hack. I use my fingertip on my index finger as a guide when I'm doing my hem. So generally, like, it's a couple of millimeters, but I just use my finger as a guide. When you are stitching your napkin, another little tip is to make sure when you are coming to a corner to keep the needle in the machine. So as you see, when I get to the corner, I leave the needle in and I lift and I turn. Also, don't forget to do a reverse stitch when you start and finish your piece. Using some scrap fabric, I am using the smaller bunny template that I traced off Pinterest, and I am simply going to cut it out. Take your time. Cutting these bunny shapes is actually quite tricky because they're so small. I'm now just finding the center of my napkin and deciding where I'm going to place. So I'm just finding the center by folding it in half, and then I'm just finding a position for my bunny that I think is nice. You can get really creative with this. You don't have to use fancy fabric. This is all scrap fabric that I had in my kit. I know things are kind of hard to get supplies at the moment, so if you want to use like old tea towels, bed sheets, you can get really creative with this. I ended up doing a straight stitch to applique my bunny on because I didn't have any iron-on interfacing. Ideally, a zigzag stitch will be perfect, but when I was doing the zigzag stitch, I noticed the fabric was fraying. If you had some iron-on interfacing, that would prevent that from happening, but I had to use what I had to use. Next up, we have some Easy Sew little fabric bunnies. These are absolutely adorable. I used the larger bunny template that I traced off, and I'm actually using felt for the back of this. I experimented and I tried making these a couple of ways, but this was the easiest. So if you are a beginner, I think you'll find this easier. I'm using a sewing machine to stitch my fabric to the felt, but do not worry, you can hand stitch these and just do a simple running stitch to stitch these together. Also, make sure to leave a little gap at the end and don't stitch all the way around because we are now going to add some stuffing to our bunny. Don't worry if you don't have stuffing, you can use an old pillowcase or cushion. You can just get creative with what you use as filler. So I just poked some filler in. Now you will see I'm using a scissors. That's just because I didn't have any chopstick to kind of poke the fabric in. Once your fabric is all filled, you can then close the seam at the bottom with either a hand stitch or your machine. I am now simply using a scalloped edge pinking shears to just cut around my bunny. Take your time with this. Cutting these bunnies is harder than it looks because they have such like intricate kind of shapes and edges. So don't worry if you're a beginner and you're finding this tricky, it's just the shape of them. Once I was finished with my bunnies, I had these little like gift tags that I found kind of in my craft stash because I made 2 of these. I have the little floral one for my niece Lily, and then I have a little stripy one for my nephew Jack. And I think I'm going to give them these instead of Easter eggs. I might give them a few chocolate treats, but I just thought they'd make a lovely gift. Last up, this is my favourite. So I had seen these done on at Christmas. I seen an ad where they had lint bunnies and they took their heads off and filled them with Baileys. So we're going to do that, but we're going to do it Easter style. So I simply stripped my bunny and I put the bow back on. I picked up this strawberry and cream flavoured Baileys. It's actually really nice, so be warned. Now, you can substitute this and use like strawberry milk if it's for kids. So I just filled my bunny with Baileys and then I put loads of cream inside them. I just got a can of whipped cream out of Tesco. And you can also get really fancy and add strawberries, little mini eggs, whatever you want. It is delicious. So those are just some of the cute little things that I made. I actually have another little DIY for anyone who's, I'm going to say, a slightly more experienced sewer. I picked up a sewing pattern. Oh, there's Pepsi. Has to be a video with a cat in it. I picked up a sewing pattern. I'm going to pop this, it's Simplicity, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I made one of the little bunnies from it. I'll pop in a few little clips. I find when it comes to anything doll making or small teddies that it's not that they're not beginner friendly, you could totally try it, but when you have to turn the little pieces inside out, it can be a bit, not tedious, but you definitely have to use a few tools to kind of get them to turn the right way out. So I made this little guy, I think he was option B. So I just used I had some like scrap hessian and some little floral scrap fabric, so I made him as well. So I'll pop the details. If the pattern is on Amazon, I'll link to it in the description as well. Just if you want to pick it up, I just thought it was a cute little make for Easter. I also experimented with those bunny patterns that I just sketched off Pinterest. When it's much easier with the felt, when you put the right sides together, stitch around, turn it the right way around and stuff it and hand stitch it closed, it's really hard to turn the little ears inside out or right side out. So that's why I went with using the felt on the back, because I found they were much easier to do. They make cute little gifts as well. So I know my niece and nephew, they are 3 and 4, or are they 2 and 3? They're 2 and 3, but in the summer they're going to be 3 and 4. And their chocolate Easter eggs get eaten by my brother. So they're going to get some fabric bunnies and maybe a few little chocolate sweets, but they're too little. So like I said, I know Easter is not going to be what it normally is for most of us. Some of us may have to spend it alone. Me probably with my 2 cats. Or if you are lucky and you're with your family, it might be nice to have something to look forward to, have a nice meal, dress the table, make some napkins. Hopefully by then we may be able to kind of see more people, but we're going with the flow. It is what it is. So that's me for this week. If you have a shot at making these, do upload them on Instagram and give me a tag. I love having a little look. I'll put a little hashtag here that you can use so I can see them. Cheeky thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.